So now we're back to, so we did this one. Okay, so a couple questions about your domain. So I hope you understand it's like an apartment building with apartments with rooms in the apartment. That's kind of the overarching. That's what a domain is. It's an address in one place that the whole world will recognize. And what happens in the building, this apartment is your subdomain, this is your subdomain, this is your subdomain, right? Email is kind of a subdomain in that it's taking off one of those and that's where it's mailing from. And then you have your paths, which are rooms within each apartment. So each subdomain can have its own paths, your home page, your privacy page, your terms, where to order, all those things, okay? So a couple questions you need to think about if you're going to do anything with your domain is, do you know where you bought it? Okay, can you access it? Some people cannot. Number two, is it hosted there? Because some, like for example, I buy all mine usually in GoDaddy, but then I host it, and I control the domain records in Cloudflare. There's a little bit more protection there, and it's a little easier to deal with. Okay, so you have to understand where you bought it and where you're hosting it, because they might be the same thing, but they also might not be the same thing. Okay. Sometimes if you go in and you look at the records, the DNS records, you might be able to figure it out. And there are some sites online. If you Googled, how do I find out where my domain is hosted? It might tell you. Okay. So there are some things out there to do that. Okay. The other one is, do you have access to it? Okay. Do you remember your password? Can you get in there to do the things? Do you have admin ability to change and add records? That's the biggest part. Because when you bring a domain into any place, whether it's a CRM, whether it's an email ESP, which is like who sends your emails, whether it's another like Shopify, right? You need to be able to add and remove records and edit. So that is something you need. Now, again, if you don't feel comfortable, shoot me an email, we can talk about it. But that's why I offered the done for you, because some people have no idea and are scared. And you could mess up stuff if you do it wrong. Okay. So that is for the domain. Let's see. Yes, exactly. All your stuff's in GoDaddy. Excellent. And GoDaddy will help you. They're pretty good about customer service. If you tell them what you want to do, they'll help. Or if you do something and something's not working, like the other day, I was flip-flopping. So I had a subdomain for my candy store, shop dot blah, blah, blah. That was on ClickFunnels. But I wanted to create what I call a funnel hub. So that's my main domain, and it branches off to all these different areas. So like this location, that location, the e-com store, about us, contact, I wanted that to not be in Shopify. So I had to take my domain, which was over in Shopify, move it to this hub, and then take what was there and move it over there, if that makes sense. So I was flip-flopping them. And so it didn't look like it worked because every time I typed in Life is Sweet Candy Store, it would take me to the wrong place. But it was my cache in my computer. But I got on the phone with GoDaddy to be like, did I do something wrong? Right? Because even after all these years, it still happens, right? And think about this. My domain is probably 18 years old. So, okay, I'll explain to you that part next. And so even after all these years, and I have a lot of records in there from all the different email providers, all the different places I've hosted my websites, all the like ClickFunnels, High Level, Wix has one, GoDaddy has one, Square has one, like they have been everywhere. Plus, then you add in all of the email providers and then Shopify and then a second Shopify and just there's a million records. Um, and so it's certainly possible that something could start to be conflicting after all that time. But if you're starting fresh, it's probably good. And they usually can help you with that. Okay. So email. So let's just talk about email for a second. So this is where, for some people, this is how they wind up with multiple high-level accounts or multiple um, uh, softwares. High level allows for one email to send. Okay. Now, this is not going to be your primary place that you like. If you're sending 150,000 emails, this is not the place to do it. Okay. I'm sending newsletters, I'm sending that through Beehive. Okay. Because that is more set up for that. Or you could use MailChimp, or you could use whatever, right? Um, or you could use your Google Workspace. Um, but you are going to have some version of email responding and sending in here. And it always, always, always has to be from a real domain. Now that we explained what domains are, it has to be Tracy at lifeisweekendystore.com or info at da 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 da. It cannot be Gmail. It has to be a real one. Okay, a real domain based email. So that's number one. Number two, you can only have one. So you want to pick something that's pretty generic. So if you have a lot of different businesses, like so I did for my real estate one, I did TJ Investing, which is me and my husband's initials, Investing LLC. That covers the treehouse, that covers all the other property stuff, and it's kind of similar enough that it's not weird. My candy store one, even though I have different properties, different locations, different websites, different stores online, I use lifeisweekendystore.com. So it's just unique and it's the same all around. So that is something to consider if you use a whole bunch. Now, again, in Workspace, I have 10 different email addresses that I send from in my Google Workspace, which is like, I use the business version, which is like $12 a month, and you can bring all your aliases in there. So for example, you could be leads at TJ Investments, info at da 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 da, sell at da 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 da, Tracy at da da da. Right? You can have all of those all through Google Workspace. You don't have to limit yourself to one, but in high level, one. Okay, everyone understand that part? So you just have to pick something that's pretty generic. It's like I use hello or whatever. I just said basic or info or support or whatever, but you want to set it up with one. And just know that if you even if you connect a whole bunch of things, it's only going to send from that one if it's doing an auto respond. Okay. All right. So that's it. Let me see if I missed anything. You don't have to pay extra for. No, you do not have to pay extra. All of this stuff comes with it. ClickFunnels, you have to pay, and ClickFunnels trying to be like Go High Level right now, but doing a poor job of it. I was with ClickFunnels for about 4 years. I gave them about 55 grand. I was in all their coaching programs. I don't recommend it. But because I was there and I was getting all of the software for free, I built everything there. And then they stopped supporting one level, and then they moved to a second level, and they're still building it out 3 years later, and it's still kind of messy. Okay. So I am moving everything over. The setup is almost the same for funnels, and I can show you how to set up that. That's one of the calls is going to be to set up a thing. Okay, so, but that is, I like that this is all in one place. ClickFunnels, you have to pay $297 a month for basic, $497 a month for ClickFunnels. This one, I think I put 97 or whatever if you want support. If you just want it and you want to just know how to do your own thing, I think I put 50 a month. So it's pretty cheap for all these things. Okay. So that is email. So you're going to set up for email. It has to be a real email, branded domain, and you're going to only have one in high level. Okay. So let's just talk SMS. That's the final thing. Let me see if I have one more question about email. I'm thinking who, not how. Yes, I got you. No, and totally, I get it. So it's just a matter of the only problem with this is because this is like the livelihood of your business. Like if you build everything here, somebody else does it, but you don't have admin for it, it could be problematic for you. So I warn about that piece, right? You want to be able to maintain control over all the things that you do as a business owner, because all of your leads are in there. All of your information's in there. All of your things are in there. So you want to at least understand the basics, right? About how this, and that's why I thought, let's just do the basics of this so you understand the base. Now you can say, okay, go, whatever. Oh, I know you can